Good evening. How are we doing all? Welcome into the chat. Welcome into the stream. how we're doing TikTok, how we're doing Twitch and YouTube. Got a short notice stream today. Going to be hosting and broadcasting the Apex Bandit open public lobby. It's a hosted session on Iracing, and as we can see there, we are at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps up in the hills of Belgium. So we have a 1 hour race today. We're going to be following the same format for the Remo races as well. So 45 minutes of practice followed by 15 minutes of quali. I believe it's going to be an open qualifying session. I'm not 100% sure on the details today. Followed by a 1 hour race. There's going to be unlimited fast repairs, and I believe there might also be a mandatory pit stop as well. Yep, sun's out at Spa today, just like it is actually in real life here in the UK as well. We've had crazy temperatures hitting 36, 37 degrees here in the UK. Spa in the real world hitting 35, so massive heat wave spreading across Europe at the moment. But we don't care about the real weather. What we do care about is the weather on track at the moment. So we do have a 20-degree air temperature with a 34-degree track temperature today. So a little bit warmer than usual. Mild humidity, 0 chance of rain. So drivers are jumping into the session. We've been going for about 30 minutes now. We've currently got a couple of lap times on the board. Got 12.5 minutes of practice remaining. And we are using the Grand Prix pits as well today, so not the full endurance pit lane. Something that does often throw some drivers off, so I think pit stops should be fairly quick today. But there's your current pole sitter for the practice session, Ariel Julian, 2:17.5. Like I say, the track temperatures are a little warmer today, so I think it's unlikely that we're going to see anyone getting into the 2:14s, 2:15s. I think what I am interested in seeing is some of the I ratings of these drivers. So currently Ariel Julian with 3,600 I rating, highest I rating in the session currently, 2:17.5. How's everyone's day been today? Currently dying in the heat. Definitely going to be warmer tomorrow. So a couple of new names that we've not seen on any of the previous Remo broadcasts at the moment. So we've got Ariel Julian, Scott Curry, Isaac Boys as well. I've not seen him. Nicholas Balderrama. Previously won at the GT3 Remo Alton Park race during the public open. Mega job from him. A couple of retirees during that race allowed him to move up from P3 up to P1. But it's going to be a lot of drivers in today's session. Currently got 15 people on the timing sheets. About 33 people in the session at the moment. Scott Curry in the Ferrari 296. Ferrari 296, probably one of the more popular cars here during the IMSA races that we had in Season 2, towards the end of Season 2. Welcome in Welsh Dragon Racing. So this is a open broadcaster session. Anybody can join if you do a search for Apex Bandit. Apex Bandit is our host today. He's currently sat in the pits. You will be able to join. There is limited spots remaining though, so you gotta be quick. Got 8 minutes of practice, followed by 15 minutes of qualifying, followed by a 1 hour race. I'm just gonna see if I can grab hold of George real quick. George, you there? What's the fuel situation and mandatory pit stops and all that? Yep. Yeah. Did you create it from a previous session, or did you? Okay, if you try and add fuel to your car, what's the maximum amount of fuel you can put in your car? So just a bit of clarification from the guys up top. It is going to be an open qualifying session. There is no fuel restriction on this race, so I think it might be a bit of a splash and dash towards the end, but we'll see how the drivers manage the fuel. This is a session by Apex Bandit. You're more than welcome to join. Limited spots left. The session is filling up quite quickly at the moment. But we've got 6 minutes of practice left before we jump into quali. Currently just following progress of Scott Curry here in the Ferrari 296, bouncing all over the curbs through bus stop. About to start his next flying lap. As Ariel Julian also jumping out of the pits. This could work out quite well for Scott Curry as he gets onto the back straight here. Should be able to grab a bit of draft. Ariel Julian actually just jumps back into the pit lane. How are we doing, Jay? Yes, we are live on YouTube and Twitch as well, mate. Yeah, he's been sending me all the videos, Ace. I really wish I was able to go. Good to see Ken back in here, back again as well in these hosted sessions. We came back in from really well on Monday at Alton Park. Again, taking on the McLarens, so I think he's found his car of choice in the GT3s. He's really struggling with the AMG when we were back at Watkins Glen last week. Currently got 2:23 on the board at the moment, so probably looking to go quicker. Is 2 tenths up this lap. So we will jump on board with Scott Curry, who has actually just dived into the pit, gone back to tow the car unfortunately. Let's see if we can jump on board with one of the other drivers. Okay, let's look at Jacob Jurgensen. Driving the Porsche will be my go-to car. So yeah, down into first gear as we go around the source, getting on the power early because you need all of that power as you come all the way down through Eau Rouge, up the top of Radion, down the Kemmel Straight. It's pretty much not lifting all the way down, finding the line so you don't get the off track as you come up the top of Radion. So a mile and a half all the way down the Kemmel Straight, braking on the outside curve into the con. Goes down into second gear. Nice and tidy through Malmedy. Again, be careful not to be too heavy on the brakes into Rivage, and it's a long, patient right-hander. You just got to let the car sort of flow around the apex of that corner. Looking tidy so far. Coming up to Pouhon, probably one of the most tricky corners on the circuit. Sort of getting your brakes, your downshift right, your turning, and being able to get on the power to carry the most amount of speed through that corner. Doing your best to hug the curbs here. Through double right-hander at stabiliser, runs a little bit wide and over the gravel there. Again, you don't want to be lifting through this right-hander, you want to be maxed out on the throttle. Any sort of lift, you're losing temps coming up this long straight here. This is all uphill as well, you don't really see it on the camera view. It's all uphill, so any time you're lifting and not on the power, you're losing a lot of time. Diving to the left side of the track, picking your braking point as we come into bus stop. Careful not to ride the curbs too much and unsettle the car. Get on the power, run the car all the way out over that exit curb. And back across the finish line. Lap time is 2:18.1. Puts Jacob Jurgensen P6 in the Porsche 911 GT3 on. So, just coming into the final moments of practice. Fastest lap time on the board at the moment, 2:17.5. We'll see if anyone can go quicker during quali. It's going to be a very busy qualifying session. Absolutely all cars going to be able to drive out on track. cars already coming out for this qualifying session, so it's going to be a bit of getting the tyres up to temperature, finding that space within the pack. But yeah, we currently have a full lobby of GT3 cars for this qualifying session. A couple of people speeding in the pit lane, already grabbing those black flags.
Try and leave a gap here, boys, so we can all have a decent poly.
Already a sense of urgency as somebody's on the pit on the radio, trying to find the gap in all the traffic as we watch Jacob Jurgensen lose the rear end there on cold tyres. So, got a very mixed class of drivers. Got A class all the way down to C class, very mixed safety rating as well, so could see some carnage here today. A couple of 4K I-rated drivers. There's a 1200 I-rating minimum to join this session. As Jacob Jurgensen again loses the rear end just as he's about to approach the start-finish line, which is going to cost him in straight line power. It's also going to compromise the Audi just a little bit there into turn one. Jurgensen to get a massive slipstream here. As we come through the right and left-hander look on. Through the right-hander of Malmedy. Loads of gravel on the road already. Obviously affects things a lot. Already cars spinning out. Jacob Jurgensen manages to find the gap there through Rivage. Don't think that's compromising too much. Still has sense that those tyres are cold. Weaving down the straight for P1. Yeah, these sessions are always a challenge when we have this many drivers, especially when it comes to quali. You have people spinning out, people getting in your way, and only a limited amount of time to set a lap. Just having a look on the leaderboard where Duncan Andrews is at the moment. Duncan Andrews repping the Ferrari 296, the Barbie livery that he's been running for the last couple of sessions. So Jacob Jurgensen, first lap time on the board for 2:21.1, definitely compromised there from the incidents that were hanging around the track. Duncan Andrews does go quicker, 2:20.2, which I still feel is going to be somewhere down in P20 with the quality of some of the drivers in this session. So you're looking at Ken Backen coming through P1. Hopefully finding his rhythm with that McLaren, as Ferrari 296 just ahead of him is just pulling on back onto the track after a bit of a spin, which definitely compromises his corner, not ideal. So if you are here for the first time on these streams, I'm going to be streaming a lot more of these hosted sessions coming up over the next couple of days, couple of weeks. Just waiting for a whole bunch of stuff to be repaired hardware-wise so I can get back into racing myself. But yeah, if you are here for the first time, feel free to drop me a follow. It goes a long way in supporting the stream. So already drivers into the 217s. We have Kevin Reichen with a 217.6, driving a McLaren 720S, 2.6k I-rate driver. I think Ethan was in the chat earlier saying that he was gonna come and do a fix up pole lap. Still yet to set a lap time. He is out on track. A little bit of traffic ahead. Repping that Vodafone McLaren livery. I think one of the best McLaren liveries to ever exist. Great looking car. As Ethan Turner just losing the rear end through P1, manages to keep it under control and no need to tow. But that's definitely put a downer on his lap. Only 9 times on the board, so still waiting for people to set lap times. It's going to be due to people going off, trying to avoid incidents, all that great stuff. As Kevin Reichen goes quicker now for 217.3. Ethan Turner, a little bit of clear air ahead of him now. Let's see what he can do. Ethan Turner, probably a GTP driver. Mentioned to me the other day that he's not a big fan of driving GT3s, but see the rear end of that McLaren getting a little bit wobbly as we come up the top of Radion. Need to point out as well, we've got the Spa 24 coming up in July as well, here on iRacing. One of the most popular events, or special events that iRacing do. As I believe we just see the Corvette, which I'm going to assume, I'd love to assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, it was George Ward out in the back there. Let's take a look at where George is at the moment. Ah, that wasn't George Ward. George Ward's actually come onto the end of his lap. 4 minutes 30 seconds remaining of quali. Front runner is currently in the pits. I think he's fairly content with that lap time. 3 tenths behind while watching Jonas Vastergaard at the moment into Porsche 911. How are we doing, Cameron? Welcome in, mate. But yeah, Spa-Francorchamps is a fantastic track. Probably one of the best locations on the calendar. 7 kilometers in length, 4.5 miles. 19 corners. Over 2 minute 20 roughly, or 2 minute 15 lap time. It's 10 corners to the left, 9 to the right. Remember finding the old mods for the original 1950s version of Spa on old Assetto Corsa. 14 kilometers up and in and around the countryside. Sambal Iskiant manages to do a pole position lap, 2:16.1. Time's looking very unbeatable at the moment with these conditions. Obviously, conditions play a big part in how your tyres respond to the track, the car setup as well. So we're not going to see, I think, the most competitive lap times today. Fastest GT3 qualifying record ever made here was 2:13.7. I've seen that. I've seen people get to the 2:13s maybe once on iRacing. Kevin Reichen choosing, I think, not to come back out for this one. It's going to settle for a P2 position here. P2 and P3 very close. 2:17.3 to 2:17.38. So there's a 500th of a second between the top two guys. How long is this race? This race is a 1 hour race. Jay Rosanio, again another one in the Ferrari 296. Definitely seeing a mixed set of cars compared to what we have seen over the last couple of broadcasted races. Everyone seems to be opting for McLaren 720S and Ferrari 296, but yeah, today we've got a whole plethora of cars: Ford Mustang, Porsche 911s. I've not seen where that Mercedes AMG has ended up yet. As we are approaching the last moments of qualifying, it's going to be a big grid to go through. I'm hoping that we are getting a pace lap here. What's the starting procedure, by the way? Is it a full lap behind pace car? Okay, thank you. So that does conclude quali. Almost 50 drivers in this session. 24 of them which have set a lap time. So we will take a few moments before we jump into the race. Got 2.5 minute cooldown. We're doing Checo, Rockman, Stewart. We're doing Jason, welcome in. So about 40 seconds until the drivers will start queuing up behind the pace car. It's a 1 hour session today. So I guess it's going to be about 28 to 30 laps, but I'll have that information for you shortly. Howdy, Lausch, welcome in. So cars are queuing up behind the safety car at the moment. I'm not going to be able to go through all of the 51 cars that are going to be queuing up today. Not in the space of a short pit stop. Sorry, a short pace lap. But we have Samvel Iskiants starting on the front row in the P1 position with a 2:16.1, almost a second quicker than P2 of Andrea Rosiano. P3 we have Pedersen. P4 we have Kevin Reichen. P5 we have Vestergaard. P6 we've got Karsten Havdal, welcoming him back after some really great races at Alton Park and Watkins Glen last week. P7 we have Yilmaz. P8 we have Jurgensen in the Porsche 911 GT3R. We got Monaghan and Sundar Morthy. That's going to be definitely a name to try and pronounce. Excuse me for absolutely butchering some of these names. We have Janask in 11th, Benacuis in 12th, Nicholas Balderrama in P13. Fantastic job from him at Alton Park on Monday. Isaac Boys in P14. Scott Curry in P15. Andre Kerbel in P16. Rasmus Greener in P17. Duncan Andrews in P18 in the Ferrari 296. P19 we have Kiyoviko. P20 we have Henning Fink. P21 we have the host himself, George Ward, driving the Corvette today with a 221 flat. So not the best times that I've seen out of George. But again, track temperatures are a little higher than normal. John Satchwell in P22. Ken back in P23. Eri Kaczynski in P24. That's a name and a half. Bishaft in P25. Daniel Silva in P26. Archie Lovat in P27. Kivonk Sewer P28. Ariel Julian P29. Ethan Turner P30. P31 is Yakan. 32 Aina. 33 Lindsay. 34 John Yi Ho. 35 we have Jack W Jenkins. 36 is Kai Wens. 37 is Oral and Mariano P28. Deisberg 39. Pieria in 40. Dumbay 41 and Ben Switzer in 42. As we are about to go live, we are about to go racing. It is a short formation lap as we are currently just checking out the leaders as they come through the Byron Northern corner bus stop. The safety car does dive into the pits. All eyes on Samvel Iskiants,
green flag,
who does get away early. Pedersen now all the way up to P2 as they're almost 3 or 4 wide into the first corner there, as we do see Kevin Reichen unfortunately losing that on the tail end there and spinning round. Iskant's leading, followed by Penderson now up into P2, Porsche 911 absolutely smashing this one. Andrea Rosiano is started P2, has already dropped down to P4 now. It's Karstine Havdal up into P5 after starting P6, so he's gained a position there on the first few corners of this lap. A lot happening on the first lap, which we're going to have to take a look at and see what has happened. Why so many people lost out. And some of the big losers here are Kevin Reichen and Neil Monaghan, who are now at the back of the grid. Nico Balderrama currently in P12, having a steady race, closely followed by Duncan Andrews. So apart from a couple of incidents, all fairly clean so far. See if we can quickly take a look at what happened to Neil Monaghan here. Loses the rear and I think ends up just getting checked by the cars that are coming up behind him. Samvel Iskiant's already 1 second lead in the Ford Mustang GT3. So it's a long race. There is unlimited fast repairs. Hopefully the drivers are aware of that. Looks like also might have something from Isaac Boys here, who gets a little bit tail happy, manages to hold his brakes. I believe damage might be off for this race, as we see another one of those BMWs really struggling with the rear end, coming through Blanchimont. As we just go back live and see Jacob Jurgensen just getting absolutely tagged there by Andre Kerbel. He's managed to find his way back onto the track cleanly, but it's definitely going to be slow as he just scrubs off the tyre temperature that he's just generated through the gravel there. See if we can see what happens to Scott Curry here. It seems to just lose the rear end. He's watching on board with Nicholas Balderrama. Currently fighting off Andre Kerbel in the Audi R8 LMS Evo 3. Evo 2, sorry, should I say. Again, a lot of people are not racing the Audis lately because of the new IMSA regulations. So you see Duncan Andrews just blinking in the background there. Nicholas Balderrama manages to hold on to that P9 spot. That's getting 3 positions since the start of this race, as Sandel Iskians manages to go fastest now with a 2:17.8. George Ward making up 5 places from the start of this race. Started P20, now running in P15. Currently being chased down by Ethan Turner. Ethan Turner, considerably higher I-rated driver. Think about Spa without Sup as well. You also sit in duck. I'm hoping that George runs Spa as Ethan Turner goes round to the outside as they come into the com, gets that move done. Nothing much that George could have done there. Duncan Andrews does make a pass through, and the Audi of Andre Kerbel does get tagged by that Porsche of Leo Einer. Strength of field is 2k thin. So Leo Einer now with the black flag, already got 22 incident points. Just a heads up, George. Leo Einer, A-Y-N-A, is just tagging people left, right and centre. 22 incident points already. Leo Einer, A-Y-N-A. Nicholas Balderrama also looking to make up a position here into the P8 position as they go side by side down the hill. Balderrama does manage to make that stick before they get to the bottom of Eau Rouge. That's definitely going to help him in terms of keeping up with the 3 runners ahead fighting for P5. very close battle here for the P5 position. All within a second of each other. Appreciate you liking the live in. Welcome into the stream. Feel free to drop me a follow if you haven't already. We're going to be doing a lot of these broadcasted and hosted races. New website on the way as well. 51 drivers in today's race. Leo Aina getting disqualified from the race due to the incident cap there. Andrea Rosiano, comfortably running in P5 at the moment, got a little bit of clean air behind, doesn't have to worry about going defensive too much. Samuel Iskians already 3.1 seconds ahead of P2 at Mikkel Pedersen. People realising that without Bob, the Ford Mustang GT3 absolutely flies. I believe he is one of only two drivers that are running this car. Jacob Jurgensen getting black flagged as well from the race.
Not able to race wheel to wheel.
Skiant's now 2:17.4.
Apparently not. Genuinely terrible driving. Come on now.
As Ken Backen looking for an inside move and gets absolutely shut the door on there by Mars Lethian. Max, that is a warning for squeezing a driver off the track. So have a quick look at what happened here. I think there was a little bit of netcode involved in the Henning Fink incident there. It looked like the car sort of got tagged, but didn't get tagged. Not ideal. George Ward already in the pits. I'm not sure if he's doing some admin for today's session, but not the place that he wants to be as we jump back on board with Ethan Turner again looking to make up position. Started P23 in this race, already now up to P12 in the Vodafone McLaren livery there. As we are currently watching the battle for P10 as Ethan Turner makes another clean overtake into bus stop, manages to stick that move now up into P11, looking to chase John Yeho down for a P10, puts him into the top 10 if he gets this done. Kevin Reichen not looking to give up that easy on that one. Kevin Reichen was one of the quicker drivers in the qualifying session today. Qualified P4. A couple of incidents early on as the race put him down all the way back into P20. So Ethan Turner, Kevin Reichen doing bits here as Kevin Reichen with that massive amount of power coming up the back straight, manages to squeeze through 3 wide as they come into Lecom. Manages to snatch that position back from Ethan Turner as well. Ethan Turner back down into P12. Ethan Turner now looking to respond. Ethan Turner Goes to the inside, little bit of a squeeze on the outside there. Not wanting to give this up, but very close wheel-to-wheel race in there between Ethan and Kevin Reicher. Ethan manages to hold that back into P11. Two McLarens racing hard here. As Kevin Reicher does drop back a little bit. Nicholas Balderrama currently running P9, 4 seconds behind P8. He's going to have to do a lot here to catch up. I think the strategy as well here could also be around doing a little bit of fuel saving in order to make this a zero stop race. So we are running the full fuel regulation here, which roughly gets you about 55 minutes of flat out racing in most of these cars. So a lot of these drivers might be looking to essentially fuel save to get to the end of this race. Seems to be an incident between Jacob Jurgensen. Jacob Jurgensen disqualification because he just sends it into bus stop. No brakes. It's car number 23, Jacob Jurgensen. It's in a Porsche 911.
Good.
Riding on board Andrea Rosanino, sorry, should I say, in the Ferrari 296, running P3. Only 6 seconds behind P2, but does have a couple of cars trailing him, looking for that podium position. Karsten Havdal already up into P4. Yeah, IMSA is going to be a absolute mega fest next week. Yeah, I'm just reviewing now. So, a little bit mega from yeah, that was Jun Yi Ho. Got a little bit aggressive, not a disqualification, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep my mic unmuted if that's alright. You can mute me if you need to. Just pain in the ass, keep muting myself. Yeah, as Jun Yi Ho turns in, doesn't realise there's a guy on his inside. Karsten Havdal already mega in this race. Started in P6 up to P3 now. John Yi Ho in the Porsche. I think he was the instigator from what I saw. As Karsten Havdal up through Blanchimont takes P2. Rosanino looking to respond. Not sure if he's going to be able to hold that slipstream into bus stop. Iskans has gone into the pits, which is going to put Karsten Havdal into the P1 position.
Hey, George, are you here?
I don't believe it was Karsten. Karsten's also from the Ken Backen route, by the way. Don't know. Karsten Havdal's been in all the posteds.
Towards the executioner.
So Rosanino already responded to the pass into bus stop. Has taken P1 back from Havdal. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on things, but there's like 51 drivers in it, dude. Yeah, back in a minute. So Karsten Havdal dropped back down now to P2. Looking to win this race, looking to make this his second consecutive pole position. As Rosanino driving slowly up the back straight. Allowing Karsten Havdal to take the lead of this race once again. In the Ferrari 296. Henning Fink on a bit of a recovery drive now, having dropped 3 places due to the spin in bus stop. Currently down in P10. Ken Backen 1 second up the road, or 3 seconds, sorry, up the road. Looking to chase down Max Latinen. Trying to take a look at what might have happened to Rosanino here. Comes round the long right-hander and just parks the car. Looks to tow back to the pits. And as you ride on board with Neil Monaghan, currently running in P7. Haven't started in P8 on this grid, made up 1 position. Already a lot of drivers with a lot of incident points today.
Was that contact, by the way, or not good?
Nicholas Balderrama looks to lose it. There didn't look to be any contact there. I'm wondering if we can watch that from a slightly different view. But yeah, it didn't look to be any contact there. Not sure if he just lost the rear end. Ethan Turner, one of the cleaner racers in today's session, having started P23, already up into P4. 2.3 seconds behind the number 32 car of Loshan. Janash in the McLaren 720S, looking to defend from Loshan. Sundaramurthy is closing this gap. 0.1 seconds behind as he goes to the inside. Jesus, to back out of that one. I've driven this track numerous amount of laps. Getting the run here is usually the better option. And Sundaramurthy tries to look down the inside, gets up in his mirrors.
Let's go.
Conrad Janash definitely under a bit of pressure as he goes to the middle of the track to defend here. A lot of gravel on the exit of that corner. Conrad Janash goes defensive again. Sundaramurthy round the outside, beautiful move. And also will get the run up and through Bonchmont into bus stop. That has allowed Ethan Turner to get back into the mix here a little bit. Now only 0.3 seconds behind. Could be looking for a move into bus stop as he does run wide through Blanchemont. As Nicholas Valderrama with the black flag has to come into the pits. Currently on 21 incident points, unfortunately, but definitely puts him out of contention for this race. As we are currently watching the battle for P2. Sundaramurthy still able to hold those McLarens behind, and I think Conrad Janash is going to be under a little bit of pressure coming to this next corner from Ethan Turner. So it's McLaren v McLaren v McLaren. I mean, I think it definitely goes to show that even when we take I-rate now into consideration here, that the Ferrari 296 and these McLarens are the top cars for IMSA style races at the moment in GT3. It is Ferrari and McLaren all the way down the field to P6. As Ethan Turner looks to have got a bit of a mega run up here as we come into Blanchemont. Definitely shows his face in the mirror as they go through Blanchemont. Conrad Janash looks to go to the outside. Sundaramurthy defends into bus stop. Ethan Turner dives into the pits. Just looking at these two McLarens running, Conrad Janash definitely looks like he is running a higher downforce setup. A lot more stable through the corners, but just lacking that top speed to sort of catch him in the straights, and I think that's where you really need it here to pass. Henning Fink has just received a black flag. A rookie driver, the Porsche 911 GT3R. Karsten Havdal now extended that gap 4.2 seconds ahead. As Henning Fink comes into the pits to serve his penalty. Just kicking up a bit of dust there. This is definitely the closest battle on circuit at the moment for the P2 position. Sundaramurthy definitely closing the gap now on Karsten Havdal. Just got through the halfway point of this race. So if Conrad Janash and Sundaramurthy are definitely going to want to try and work together here to close that gap even further. As you see Karsten Havdal just getting around a back marker there. Ethan Turner comes out in P6. Doesn't look to have been any fuel saving from him, hence the pit stop. It didn't look like he had any damage. So just looking at the timing difference there between the two top runners in terms of lap to time. So Sundaramurthy was running a little quicker on the last lap. Having closed that gap, now 3.7 seconds behind. It's almost just sort of pulling Conrad Janash across along with him for this one, as Henning Fink has been disqualified from the race. Kevin Reichen not having the best of races today. Started P4, had a whole bunch of incidents going into turn 1, had damage that needed repair. Has come out, managed to claw his way back up to P4. Bit of damage limitation there. Ethan Turner's just taken a second out of Neil Monaghan on that last lap. Now, my guess is that, like I say, Ethan has gone for fuel without tyres on this one, so I think that is going to allow him to push, but I'm not sure the strategy really plays out here. Really does depend on how much these front runners are fuel saving. As Karsten Havdal currently on a lap a second quicker as he comes into the second sector. He's running this race, managing to hold that gap there at 3.7 seconds. Daramorthy still defending. Conrad Janash happy just to sit behind at the moment. Maybe a bit of fuel saving going on here. We know he's got pace. Everything good for your side, George? Yeah, that's what I'm watching at the moment. Yeah, Ethan was also looking in contention for that as well. He did stop for a quick stop, so I don't know whether these other drivers are going to have to stop for a stop or whether fuel saving will get them to the end of the race. Well, Ken was able to do a lot of fuel saving during the Alton Park race on Monday, and I think that's how he managed to claw, I think it was a P2, wasn't it, on Alton Park on Monday? Yeah, Duncan's still blinking for me. It's just you, I don't know why. I think he lets you have that one then. Yeah, I think he's going for the fuel save. I think he's trying it. Alright, okay. So Ken Backen, best lap time this race, 2:22.2. So he's about 4 seconds slower than the guys ahead per lap. Which I think you're right, I don't think is the right strategy for this. Yep. So we have just got the green light from George to say that he is going to have another go at putting some lap times in. After spending 20 minutes in the pits. Karsten Havdal has extended his lead back into the 4 seconds. Comrade Janash and Lotion. Sundaramurthy still fighting for this P2 spot. Comrade Janash has got past him. See if we can just take a look at where that happened. Does make that move coming into Blanchemont. Gets a absolutely mega run. Alright, cheers for liking the live, mate. Welcome into the stream. How are we doing? Comrade Nash looking to go back up the inside, does manage to make that stick. This is a very tight battle between the two McLarens. Swapping multiple times per lap. Comrade Nash back up into P2. So Sundaramurthy looking to respond as we come up and down the start finish straight. Into La Source. Sundaramurthy looks to have the better run here as they come down it towards Eau Rouge. Definitely going to have the slipstream. Sundaramurthy right on the tail now. Less than a car's gap as they come down the Kemmel straight. Sundaramurthy not looking to make that happen as we come into the com. Through Malmedy, the gap just opens up a little bit. Down into Rivage. Slow and patient on the accelerator before opening it up and being very careful on the brakes just to tip that car in without running over the gravel. Both drivers now coming down to Pouhon. In my opinion, one of the trickiest corners on the circuit. It's about 20% brake pressure and making sure you're getting that turn in just right. Janash with the bigger gap now than what he had on the previous lap. It's going to make Sundaramurthy a little bit more difficult for him to make a pass here. In this battling, we're definitely seeing the front runner of Karsten Havdal pulling away off into the distance, gained 2 seconds over the last lap. Comrade Nash still yet to make a pit stop. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many pit stops the other drivers have made. Top 5 drivers still yet to pit.
Hey, do the leaders actually have to pit, or do they have enough fuel to go to the end?
Ethan Turner all over the radio asking whether everyone else has got a pit. P1 to P5 have not pitted yet. Ethan Turner running P6 has pitted, so he is looking, I think, for that win based on pit stops alone. I'm not sure if the other driver's going to make it.
Guys, this is not a one stop. No, this is not a non-stop. Complete non-stop.
I think it's definitely going to get interesting towards the end of this race. So Ethan Turner running P6, assuming that P1 to P5 still need to pit. Ethan Turner is almost 24 seconds behind the leader, meaning that if the other drivers pit, Ethan Turner could be running P1 in this race.
Ethan, you're in prime position.
Conrad Janash definitely going to have to look to defend as they come down the Campbell Straight, 0.1 seconds behind. Yeah, you're currently 41 seconds off Ethan. But so depends on fuel. I think a pit stop is going to be about 15 seconds, assuming that they don't take tyres as well. It is literally going to be a splash and dash. We know these GT3s do get an average of about 55 minutes worth of racing, so a little bit of fuel saving throughout this race potentially could make it to the end. As Ken Backen into the pits, unable to do that zero stop strategy that paid off for him at Alton Park on Monday. So Ken Backen with a pit time. Still in the pits, just keeping an eye on how long it's taking him to do this fuel stop. So my board is saying 21 of 26, so 5 laps. But that is the leader just crossing the line now. So Kevin Reichen now joining the back of this battle for P2. It is the battle of the McLarens again. Kevin Reichen up into third place. So Darren Morthy unable to really do much there apart from sit and watch him go by as Conrad Janash off into the gravel. Goes to the defensive line. Kevin Reichen looks to go round the outside. Kevin Reichen does make that stick now up into P2. Kevin Reichen come from nowhere. P4 now up into P2 has took both of them within 2 corners. Depends on the car. All the cars that have different gearing. I'll be honest, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Comrade Janash lurking in his rearview mirrors as Sundaramurthy almost baits an overtake there. Janash going to the centre of the track just to hold that defensive line, realises that Sundaramurthy's not going to go for it. He's able to jump back on the racing line. Sundaramurthy gets a much better exit as we come out of La Source down towards Rouge. These McLarens clearly running similar setups here. Kevin Reichen extending that gap, 0.8 seconds behind. They are coming up to a little bit of traffic, which could cause problems for all the drivers. And again, this battle here for P3, Comrade Janash and Lotion Sundaramurthy allowing Kevin just to sort of break away into the distance now, out of the tow, 1.2 seconds ahead. Still keeping an eye on the pit stops. Front five runners still yet to pit. 9 minutes remaining in this race. 4 laps to go. Sundaramurthy looking to get the better exit as they come down the start finish straight. And the blue flag Mercedes doing his best, I think, not to, really doesn't want to get in these guys' way. As they do come together, Sundaramurthy does take the lead. Sundaramurthy now back into P3, Comrade Janash with that collision with the back marker getting in his way, unfortunately. Got a lot to do in 7 minutes to try and pull this one back for him. Ethan Turner closed the gap now, 10 seconds behind as George Ward gets a black flag. Let's just take a quick look at the replay of what happened to George here. He loses the rear end as he comes out of bus stop. So, sorry to do you like that, George. I had to watch the replay. Just don't do it in the same place. I'm gonna have all the reels to show you. Sandara Morty running P3 with a black flag. 17 incident points. What's the incident count limit on this, by the way, George? Ah, okay, so Sundara Morthy, 17 incident points, running P3, does have a drive-through. That's going to be news for Comrade Janash, who is now 1.7 seconds behind after having the incident. Duncan Andrews currently running P7 at the moment, 49 seconds behind Ethan Turner. Still front 5 runners not made a pit stop. Just over 5 minutes left to go into the session. Could we see some last minute splash and dashes towards the end of this race? Karstein Havdal doing his best to still maintain that lead, but the time has dropped from 6 seconds now down to 2.4. Kevin Reichen looking to catch. Is 2.3 seconds going to be enough with 5 minutes left to go?
George, did you get to the end on your fuel tank from the start? Just out of curiosity.
Ethan Turner all over the radio, desperate for answers on whether the front runners are going to have to make this pit stop. I think we do not tell him. Karstein have down, Kevin Reichen now closed the gap, 2.1 seconds, 4 minutes left to go. Max Latian currently in a battle for P10 with Samuel Chiavico. Latian manages to hold on to that position as they come through bus stop. Chiavico with a mega exit as we come out of La Source. Side by side through Eau Rouge. Top Radion. Mercedes looks like he gets tagged by a bit of netcode there. I think that was purely a netcode incident, to be honest. I will quickly just Max Latian. It looked like a little bit of netcode. Yeah, that was netcode. Kevin Reichen closes the gap 1.5 seconds. Comrade Janash does come into the pits on the previous lap for a quick splash and dash, making him one of the last 5 drivers running at the top of the field to make a pit stop. Yeah, I think it was netcode. As Karstein Havdal comes into the pits and Kevin Reichen on the last lap with 1 minute 56 seconds left to go. Karstein Havdal Karstein Havdal was about to get a consecutive win this week in the hosted sessions. It's going to be who comes out first. Avdal moves away. Kevin Reichen is going to be right on his tail for this last lap. This is the final lap of the race. Sundaramurthy also up into first place, just manages to get the undercut by pitting slightly earlier. Kevin Reichen looks to go down the outside through Botmo Rouge, top of Radion. This is a last lap battle for the finish. Sundaramurthy just needs to make no mistakes here, and this win will definitely be his. Question is, who's going to come home in P2? Is it going to be Karsten Havdal or Kevin Reichen? As Havdal goes defensive, Reichen round the outside, unable to make that stick. Havdal gets to fight another corner. Less than a car's gap. Who on definitely not a place you want to stick a nose on the last lap of this race. Havdal goes defensive again. Reichen trying to look for grip on the outside of the track. Just has to snag the brakes there to avoid going into the back of Havdal. I think it's all to play for as we come into bus stop, as Havdal does touch the gravel, compromising his exit as they come up towards Blanchemont. Kevin Reichen down the inside through Blanchemont, makes it stick and he gets wobbly. And both drivers, oh no, Kevin Reichen rolls the car. Karsten Havdal does come home to finish in P2. Sundaramurthy mega drive today in the McLaren, finishes in P1. Havdal unfortunately wasn't able to make the fuel last that extra lap. Comes home in P2, followed by Conrad Janash in P3. Ethan Turner in P4.
Doing that without pitting.
Neil Monaghan P5. Kevin Reichen unfortunately finishes in P6. Yep, he retired without crossing the line. Sorry, I can't spectate your car because you keep blinking. Yep, you've just blinked out completely for me. That'll be a P6 finish for Duncan Andrews in the Ferrari 296. Classic Barbie livery that we've seen for the last couple of races. It sure was. So, just to take a look at the race results. So 26 laps of racing today. So first of all, before we get into results, big thank you to Apex Bandit for hosting today's session. Be sure to go and check him out on TikTok, which is Apex Bandit 17. He also streams on Twitch and YouTube as well. But a massive congratulations to Loshan Sundaramurthy for finishing this race in P1. There was some incredible battles there between himself and Janash towards the end of the race, but Sundaramurthy does come out on top. Karsten Havdal unable to make that P1 position stick, having to pit on the last lap. Karsten Havdal finishes P2. Conrad Janash in P3. Ethan Turner P4. Neil Monaghan in P5. Duncan Andrews P6. Kevin Reichen, unfortunately, finished as P7 after the incident there with Karsten Havdal coming into the final corner. Scott Curry in P8. Samuel Kovico in P9. And Max Lettinen in P10. Yeah, I think there was definitely some mega performances from that. Obviously, there was a lot of disqualifications and DNFs. I think one of the best drives of today's session, if we have a look at these results, is going to be Ethan Turner. I think driver of the day, started P30 on the grid, finished in P4. Fastest lap time was 2:17.7, which is the fastest. Sorry, his fastest lap time. My apologies, 2:17.4, which was the fastest of the top 10 runners in today's session. So congratulations to Ethan Turner on a mega performance today in the McLaren 720S, repping that Vodafone livery. But yep, we're looking to host a lot more of these sessions. I'm also going to be broadcasting and sharing commentary and everything that's happening in these hosted sessions whilst I'm not driving at the moment. So we'll be hosting some of the Apex Bandit sessions. Again, like I say, go check him out. He has been the host for today. You'll be able to find him on all of the social media platforms. He's live pretty much most days. I'm always hosting events for the community as well. Don't forget as well that we also have our event next Monday, which is going to be the Remo Public Open at Spa. If you'd like the details for that, then you'll need to head over to the Discord link inside of my stream bio. But anyway, that's it for today, guys, and I will catch you guys on the next stream.